Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. We've all seen that person at work that seems to be the favorite. You know, the one that when the choicey job assignments come down, they get them. Or in my case, there's certain runs that pay more because of it could be distance or what you have to do or whatever the reason. But there always seems to be that one person that every time something like that comes up, they're the one that gets the job. And we know who they are. We've seen them hang around the office, you know, and just a brown nose, for lack of a better term, you know. But they always seem to be talking to the person in charge, telling them how great they are, or whatever they need to do to be seen as the favorite. But I've never cared much for those type of people because it always seems to come back and get them in the end, and it shows just what type of person they are. I firmly believe that if you do your job to the best of your ability, you will get treatment like that, but it'll be different. It'll be out of respect for the way you do your job, and they know, and you're dependable, and that's the main thing, being known as being dependable, no matter whether it's at work, in your personal life, or at the church house, especially for the pastor, knowing that he has somebody dependable that he can call on when he has a need to be filled. We all, you know, pastors have such a great responsibility with leading the church and everything that at times things come up and they need help, and they need people in the congregation that are dependable. And they learn this from their actions and how, and you know, visiting, talking, that too, but mostly from their actions. There's that old saying, I can't hear what you're saying, your actions are speaking louder than your words. But what I'm going to get at here in a little bit is that there's no favoritism as a Christian. You know, the scriptures really comes to the point. And there's no, you don't have to read between the lines to understand what's being said. You know, just like John 3:16, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. That's all. That's inclusive. That means everybody. There's no all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. But there's no but in that passage. It's just straight to the point. So in essence, the Bible, as you read it and as you understand it and you learn to understand it, as you grow in knowledge in that, you'll see that there's no favoritisms played out anyway. Just look at some of the disciples, what they went through after Jesus ascended to heaven, and the treatment that they received because of who they were. It surely wasn't any favoritism played there at all. You know, we can go through passages and read that. But in Romans, the 2nd chapter, verse 11 says, therefore there is no priority with God. And in parentheses, I wrote, no favoritism. We all know, like I said, we all know what that means. There's not going to be, just because you wore a red shirt every Sunday to church, that makes you a favorite. No, there's none of that. We have to stand on our own 2 feet, and we achieve what we achieve by what we put into wanting to learn the Word and everything like that. The relationship that we have with Christ, and it, you know, it comes out of obedience. But verse 12 says, for all have sinned, and without the law will also perish without the law. And all who have sinned under the law will be judged by the law. Kind of a confusing verse, but it ties into the no favoritism that I'm talking about. So this morning, just think about this. We've seen that guy at work, or that person at work. They seem to be the boss's favorite and get all the cushy jobs. But God is telling us in His kingdom and in His house There is no favoritisms. We are all one and the same. It doesn't matter if you're a preacher that has a name, somebody says your name, and everybody goes, oh, I love listening to that guy. It doesn't matter if you're that guy or you're the guy that just accepted Christ last week and then he called you home this week. When you stand before judgment, we're one and the same. There's no favoritism there. There's the person, the preacher with the name recognition will be judged just as harshly as the guy that accepted Christ last week. So there's no earning your way into heaven or anything like that. And there's a passage that talks about by doing your works, and I've always struggled with that passage, trying to understand it totally. And one of these days I will, but it's not today. But I like the verse, I like Romans where it says there is no favoritism. So I don't have to worry about the guy that's always tugging at the boss's ear getting a better deal on Judgment Day, because we're both going to be judged the same for what we did in our own lives. So just think about that. If you were standing before God today and being judged, how would you be judged?